Alright, you heard the title. This is my spoiler review now. Alright, so if you haven't seen the movie, like I said, spoiler alert. Duh. So my spoilers of this movie. Now, what are my negatives with this movie? The same as what I said. The same as what I said in the spoiler list review, as spoiler list as possible review. We get too much of Everett Ross in this movie, you know? Like, that scene that I said about Okoye is whenever he's being taken to prison, and the scene where he went to prison is where his boss is like, "Oh, so I saw you that. Oh, so actually we monitored you whenever you were calling the Wakandans with the Okoye beads, with the what are they called? Kyoko beads? I don't know. Someone please let me know." And and he's like, "No, but the Wakandans aren't bad." She's like, "Too late. You're getting arrested because I'm the director now, biatch." And then and then when the next thing we get with Okoye, which she has a suit, like a Iron Man suit that Shuri's been designing, and she's like, "Oh, look at this, a colonist is being arrested." And yeah, the scene was funny, but what does that have to do with the plot? And I know it's in the ending, but like 2 hours and 41 minutes, and then you waste it on these scenes. I mean, I know you need something to fill out that, but at least make it with something important, all right? I'm just saying, longer action scenes. Now, what about the decision Shuri made? So Shuri left the kingdom, and she left it all to Mabaku, which, oh, which which Shuri and him made a bet in the movie, and then now Mabaku wears like a straw skirt, and everybody, and that was funny. And then he says the Black Panthers are gonna attend us, and then we meet. No, and then we see Shuri, leaving the kingdom so she can go visit her. I guess it would be her sister-in-law. I mean, not married, but like technically sister-in-law, since with uh with T'Challa's girlfriend, Nakia. I just remembered that her name is Nakia. My other negative that I have with this movie is, like I said, Ironheart is like, she can get kind of annoying in this movie, like where Shuri, she had a vision with a special someone that I'm about to get to, and then it was supposed to be a poignant scene, not poignant. How do I say? Like a very traumatic scene, you know, like a very dark scene. And then she says like, "Oh," and then Shuri's like, "Oh, I'm so mad," and then she punches one of her what are they called? Marionettes, not marionettes, but those things that are outside of Victoria's Secret that put on the clothing. I don't know what they're called. Like a statue. Frick. She punches one of those. And then she's like, "Oh, can I have some of that herb?" Everybody was laughing. It was funny, but it was kind of, but it kind of brought down the scene, kind of, you know. Not for my positives. Not for my positives in this movie. Now Namor is a really interesting villain. When he found some, he said that whenever he was little, some conquistadors were about to go. Some conquistadors visited his village, and they basically released a whole bunch of bad stuff to them: corruption, diseases, all that. And then they had to go to the ocean, and they drink this magical potion, and then Namor went to land to bury his dead mom, and then he's using the vibranium to give sunlight to his people. But the Wakandans are like, "But people are gonna find it. But people are gonna find it. They're gonna take it away." And he's like, "Nah, don't take it away, please. I need to protect my people." And I really like his motives because this isn't as a revenge story as it is, but it isn't a revenge story or anything. He just wants to protect his people. They both want to protect their people, but they have to go in opposite ways, you know. Now I forgot to mention this, but the soundtrack is amazing. The soundtrack is amazing in this movie. It is really poignant. It is really poignant. It is very, very, and it fits the scenes very well. And man, it's just see the movie to believe it. The action scenes are also pretty good. Whenever that bridge scene with Tunokoy and Atuma, ooh, that was good. That was a really good, well choreographed action sequence. Another thing that I like about this movie is Shuri's just like trying to find herself, and not like, oh, what, she's lesbian or anything. No, it's not. No, she's not lesbian or anything. But she's like, well, do I really? Where she's like, where she's like, oh, this, where she's like, I don't really believe in all this stuff that my people believe. And then she's like, how can I believe these people if they've taken so much that I love from me? And I'm gonna go into that into a bit. And like she's really struggling to find herself in her culture. And I really like that because there are some times where sometimes people question their culture, like religion, their way of life. And I hope that if you watch this movie, I hope that, not I hope, but like if you can relate it in some way, then that's good. Now when my positive said that the beginning was well acted, so here's the beginning because I said this is a spoiler review, so I'm gonna go as spoiler as possible. The beginning starts. The beginning starts with Shuri saying, "Please, please, spirits, I will worship you if my brother makes it out alive because T'Challa's ill because Chadwick passed away." And then he doesn't, of course. And then the way they mourn for T'Challa when Shuri was crying. I didn't cry, but like the way she cried, the way the way Ramonda was crying, it was a well acted scene. Now I said to y'all, hey, what about that special someone you said? I'll get to that in a bit. I'll get into it right now, actually. So Shuri is like, oh, so after Namor basically sinks Wakanda into a giant flood city. So basically, after he floods Wakanda and kills almost everyone, Shuri's like, I need to recreate the herb, and she does it. Please don't make a Breaking Bad reference in the comments. Please don't. Sorry. Anyway, so Shuri recreates the herb, and then she drinks it. And then Nakia and Riri Williams, Ironheart, do the chant, and then guess who she visits? It's the name you all know. It starts with a K. It's sorry. It's Killmonger. Actually, it starts with an E because Eric Killmonger, And then he's like, "You're just like me. The reason why you're trying to defeat him is for revenge." Now, and he's like, "Are you gonna be noble like your brother, or are you gonna be bloodthirsty like me?" And she says, "I am not my brother. I'm going to finish that fish bastard off, and he'll beg for mercy while I'm killing him on the ground." And then when she finally confronts him, she doesn't. And then she says, "If you yield to me and your people will be at peace. All right." And yeah, that was good. And then another scene that made almost everyone in the theater cry. Not the Chadwick thing, but turns out he and Nakia have a son. Son of T'Challa and Nakia. And that scene made me tear up because not only do we have another legacy of Black Panther, but also because during those 5 years after that took place during Endgame, there had to be some form of life some way of life for T'Challa. And now that they have a son, it makes me cry because now we have a form of Chadwick in this movie. Now if you're saying, but that kind of contradicts the whole thing of him being Black Panther, like how they say is like, it's like if Chadwick were still alive, that kid looks a lot like Chadwick. And then it's haunting too because not haunting but sad because he looks just like him. It's as if Chadwick never died, like he's still in the scene, and that really hits you in the feels. Now, here's my theater experience. with this movie. So in the scene, whenever everybody's like, where it's like Wakanda Forever, like everybody's about to go to war. Get your ass out of here. So whenever it's like Wakanda Forever and everybody's about to fight, the power went off in the theater. You're saying, wait, the power went off? How? I mean, all the lights were shut off. And if you're saying, oh, but the lights are supposed to shut off, let me continue. The lights shut off. The theater was dark, but the theater usually had dim lighting, but very, very dim lighting, but it was pitch black. The projector was turned off, and we had to wait like 5 to 7 minutes until the person who was running the theater came back and tried to fix it. And he's like, oh, were you on this scene, or were you on this scene? We're like, no, not that scene. No, that scene a little bit forward. No, that scene a little bit forward. But that didn't destroy the whole movie, the whole movie experience. It was the way I saw the movie that destroyed it. No, and then we're like, finally, the movie's starting, and then it did the same freaking thing again, and then we had to come back, and then someone was like, Obi-Wan, come help us, Star Wars reference, and then he had to fix it again, and then we were at a later scene, and we're watching the movie, and the same thing happened again, and then we had to call him again, and then he's like, sorry. That dude was a hero, That the guy running the theater, he's a hero. But anyways, the movie kept on pausing so many times, and it was raining and it was cold on the outside, so yeah. So of course the power shut off, but it was unexpected, At least it wasn't like my friend's movie. At least it wasn't like my friend's Nope experience in the movie theater. So yeah, anyway, that's my spoiler review. It didn't change as the other review, but this is just with spoilers with stuff that I mentioned. Also, another negative that I have with the movie is that Okoye is lesbian. If you're saying, oh, well, you got something against lesbian people, no. It's just that throughout the movie she's making like a friendship between someone, and I was like, oh, they're gonna be best friends, but no, it turns out they're in a relationship. And I was like, why would they ever be in a relationship? Like, I have nothing against it, but like, do you really have to go really that far? Like, that far? Also, what does that have to mean to anything? Like, oh, Okoye was lesbian all along. Does it have to, like, is it like a character arc or something? Like, finding herself? That's just my problem. I have nothing against it. It's just that it feels out of place, Like this is all going too fast, Anyways, that's my conclusion for this movie, and I am so hyped for what they're gonna do with Secret Wars. All right. See, that's my spoiler-free review. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and yeah, that's it.